Action. We back with Expound Ho. You already know it's me, your girl P, your favorite bitch, and your favorite witch. Like I said, welcome back to this week's episode of Postscript, also known as PS the Talk Show. We're gonna jump right into the episode with our first segment, P's favorite pieces. I have to show. I don't know how I forgot to show y'all these. Wicked came out a while ago, around Thanksgiving about. Olay came out with these two body washes, and I got them from Walmart for like $2 for change because they price match, because I waited till they was on clearance around the holiday time. And this one is Glenda's, and it couldn't be lovelier, and the notes are raspberry and bubbles. And then this one is Elphaba, and it's wickedly wonderful, and the notes are cashmere woods and lime. They both smell so bomb, dog. Like, these drinks smell good as shit. Like, that's one of P's favorite pieces. The most important thing we're going to talk about for P's favorite pieces is the boys are back. The boys are back. Y'all remember that song from High School Musical 3? But, the boys is back. Bangtan is back. I could cry right now. Like, just thinking about it. Because y'all don't understand. The things that I clung to and held on to during COVID means so much more to me than they would just normally, because I was so depressed. Like, I contemplated self-harm every day, and I was just like, then what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Run BTS was one of the things that helped me get through COVID, just from like watching all the episodes, and then like they was getting real big and popular in America because they started making songs in English. Y'all, I know y'all remember Dynamite, cause I know y'all remember Dynamite. That was all over everything, all in the commercials and all the little ads. Dynamite ate 2019 and 2020 the fuck up. I swear to God it did. Yeah, so like BTS, that's one of the things that got me through COVID and through my depression and through that dark ass time in my life. Like, I ain't never felt that bad. Like, I felt worse than when I felt when my grandfather died. When my grandfather died, I didn't want to kill myself. When COVID happened, I wanted to kill myself. So that's another topic for another day. But BTS is coming back in 6 months to tomorrow, and you already know Miss Front Row Ho about to be in there. Yeah, boy, hey. That's all I got this week. Peace, pieces. For this week's questions, I need answers, girl. Is it too late for me to get serious and start posting on TikTok? I'm too late, ain't it? I should have did that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. But when, again, if we could go back to COVID, when TikTok first started getting popping, I lived in a house with so many people. I ain't never have a moment or a corner or a area for me to film the kind of TikToks that I wanted to film, and all the little trendy stuff and all the little sounds, and like it never was a quiet, relaxed, unbothered moment in the house that I lived at the time. So I didn't even get to participate in the TikToks and stuff for real from COVID. So I never got interested into it until now, because now, of course, obviously I went on there to see everything about BTS, and I was like, oh, let me start posting a little bit of something, get into the BTS pool of videos. So, girl, am I too late? I should give up the ghost, right? It's a lot of fucking buttons and bells and whistles in here, and it is overstimulating as fuck. So once I figure it all out, we'll get back to it. The other question that I wanted to talk about, since we are going to talk about some Aquarius stuff, it is Aquarius season now. How do you cope? You don't gotta answer that right now, but I just want you to identify your coping skills and mechanisms to understand maybe the ones that could use an upgrade and the ones that could use a change. Like, for example, I'll give you another example of how fucked up my life was during COVID. My coping skill was to smoke a zip every week. That was my coping skill. In 5 business days, gone. So, and I don't do that no more. Now a zip lasts me like a month and a half. Girl, what? I was losing my mind like that. What pissed me off today? I was talking about Garmin the other day, and why the fuck is my little cousin going to prom in April? Them kids going to prom in April? They getting them out of there. That's crazy. This is bar for bar. Obviously, Bruce Wayne by YoungBoy. Slid on that motherfucker. Oh, that song is so hard. Another honorable mention, I also want to, for this week's bar for bar, I want to shout out Ghetto Bae by the Ghetto Sweetheart. Shout out to my girl, Sydney Santiago. She is a person that I am obsessed with on TikTok. She tells the most amazing, craziest, lifelong lived stories. And she reminds me so much of a person that I know. And I just feel like if this person was to ever one day get on TikTok and start telling all their business and all their stories from back in the day, it would have like the same kind of effect. Because her stories be so wild. She lived a full life, and I love that for her. Like, and I just recently, I'd be letting her TikToks pile up, and then I'll just go through and listen to all her story time. And she's like, let me tell you about the time when, let me tell you about the time when, let me tell you about the time when, and then I just like go through and watch a whole bunch of them. And I recently found out, I knew she was a rapper. I been knew she'd be rapping and like making diss songs and diss tracks and shit. The niggas and hoes that be trying to hate on her. But I ain't know that her and her friends be rapping. Girl, they group is called the Ghetto Sweethearts, and it's on Apple Music, and it's called Ghetto Bit. That song cranked so hard, and it sampled Project Bitch by Cash Money. So that's this week's bar for bar. For this week's conscious cunt on Martin Luther King Day, which was on Monday, that was my 5-year move anniversary. I have now been in Houston for 5 years. Can't believe that. But I am so happy and grateful and thankful that I found this place because my mental health has never been better. I've never been happier. I've never seen this much money. My ass ain't never been this fat. It's just a lot that I'm just so grateful for. The other little thing I wanted to come on here and tell y'all about with Martin Luther King Day, I did talk about this on TikTok too, so if you have already seen this, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. Martin Luther King name originally was not Martin Luther King. So y'all know Martin Luther King is a junior. He named after his father. His father's name was Michael. His father, Michael, went to Germany on a trip, get some information and learn some knowledge, you know what I'm saying? So he on the little tour or whatever in Germany, they started talking about somebody named Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a theologian. And this was around in the 1500s, so that's when, you know, the church dictated everything. Specifically with what I'm talking about right now, we're talking about the Roman Catholic Church. So, Martin Luther was like, why only the priest can read the Bible? Why only the priest can interpret the Bible? Why only the priest can teach the Bible? Why y'all gatekeeping? He didn't like that. The other thing he wasn't liking was they was not letting people get divorces, even if they were needed, like, even if it was, like, crazy stuff happening in the marriage. The church was just not allowing nobody to get divorced. They was like, not on my watch. So, them two things he was not really rocking with, but I feel like, for me personally, the cherry on the Sunday for him was when they said, oh, music is only good for sacred use. That's apart from using music to sing the good praise to the man upstairs. That's devil's work. And Martin Luther, the theologian, said, well, actually, factually, apart from simply praying and saying the good name, music is the next best thing that we should be giving all our praise and power and information and energy to. Because music is a vibe. Like, what are y'all talking about? And they said, absolutely not. So once he kept going to them with all this stuff that he wasn't liking, and they just kept shutting him down. Because, and the other thing was his friend was trying to remarry, and the church was like, nah. So that was another thing that put a battery in his back. So after he kept going to them, and they kept shooting him down with all this church stuff, he was like, you know what? I'm about to write a paper on you hoes. And so he wrote a collection of thoughts called the 95 Theses. And then he was so pissed, girl, he took a hammer and a nail and nailed that hoe to the front door of the church. So y'all could read what I got to say. Since y'all you know everything, you got your fucking degree. That's basically what he said. So when Martin Luther King Jr. father was over there, Michael, when he was over there in Germany learning about all this, he said, hold up. I like that. I like them teachings. I'm fucking with him. Yeah, that's a vibe. And that's why he changed his name to Martin Luther. And then, i.e., we get Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The theologian Martin Luther, he clearly, I don't know if this is how your brain works, but words mean things. And I can decipher anything with words, for real. So when we started learning about this when I was in college, and they kept saying Martin Luther, I'm like, this probably got something to do with the Lutheran church. Granted, I don't know nothing about a Lutheran church. I ain't never been to one. I don't know what that means, but I've seen that word before. And that's just how that worked. But Martin Luther did found the Lutheran church. And then another thing, girl, Martin Luther was one of them ones. So I will say, even though that Dr. Martin Luther King's named after a white man, at least he's a white man with good intentions. Because the other thing that he did that I liked when we was learning about him was he wanted to marry this shorty named Katharina. And Katharina was a nun. And you know, they not supposed to marry. They ain't supposed to be with no man, none of that. Girl, why he helped Katharina escape the convent and they got married? Like, Martin Luther wasn't taking no for answers for nobody. He said, I'm going to get what I want. Yeah. So you probably like, Precious, why do you even know that? So I went to school for music, and we started learning about like Gregorian chants and the order of the Mass with the Vatican and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy learning about classical music and singing classical music and stuff like that. So we had to go all the way back to the beginning. We was learning about the order of the type of chant that they will sing when they in the Mass. So the first one was the Kyrie, the Credo, the Sanctus, and then sometimes they say the Sanctus and the Benedictus. Then my favorite one is Agnus Dei. Then learning about that when I was in school, I then was put on and I discovered that the song that I would always hear in movies and TVs and stuff, I finally learned the name of it. My favorite classical piece ever, I'm not even Catholic, but I promise you, it's two things I want to happen at my funeral. Three. One, you gotta play Lacrimosa by Mozart. That is the hardest song ever. Two, down the street like we in New Orleans. Like, I don't, like, you got to. 3, you gotta play Digits by Young Thug. Those are my 3 funeral requests. Those it. And that was this week's segment of Conscious Cunt. And also your little useless piece of information. For our last segment, as always, is hashtag I cannot make this shit up. Before we start, I just want to say, I just energetically, I told y'all I'd be aligned with the transits and the stars and the things because I'm aware of how astrology works. So I just naturally be in tune. If you don't feel the page of life turning, baby, I don't know what to tell you. I can feel it. Like, you know how you when you get a good corner on that book and you about to turn it, somebody got a corner on my life and that page is about to turn, dog. I feel it so bad and I'm so excited. Like, it feels so good because I feel the transition and the change. So I'm very excited about life's next chapter, specifically this chapter of 30. So first things first, we are officially in Aquarius season. That started on January the 19th and that will be until February the 18th. And we talked about this last week, that Venus did go into Aquarius. I told you Venus in Aquarius wants you to work smarter, not harder. Venus is the brand and it wants to be perceived, and Aquarius wants clear perception. So think about the Venusian themes in your life, such as love, money, beauty, art, and make sure that you have a clear understanding of what's going on and that what you're presenting is being presented clearly for what you want to get across. On January the 20th, the planet Mercury did transition into the sign of Aquarius. So to me, that just gives speak about things in community. If you know you want to get into investing, or if you know you want to learn more about credit, or if you know that you want to learn more about, like, for example, real estate. Like, I've asked my friend Kiera so many questions recently about, like, buying a house, because I know I'm trying to buy a house in the next couple of years, and I'm not trying to be that person that come with all these high hopes and dreams and wishes and, you know, wasted in people's time because you knew that you had what you needed to have to get the house. That's so irritating and irresponsible. So if you know a certain thing that you want to know, find the resources in the community and talk about them. Don't be ashamed about what you don't know or what you don't have or what has happened in the past. And shame don't got no place in your life if you're trying to get past it and evolve. On January 23rd, the planet Mars did also transit into the sign of Aquarius. And you know, Mars is the drive, the action, the go, the fire. And Aquarius is the air sign. So you put air to fire, bitch, the fire get real big. So it wants you to take action on those action items we talked about last week and stop only taking action on the dose things. So dose is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Stop doing the things that's bringing you that quick, short jolt of satisfaction. Because honestly, if you are doing a lot of dose-seeking activities, you aren't happy. And you need to take it all the way back and unwrap and unravel and think about when was the last time you really had a full day to be like, oh, hold on. This don't even feel right. So just think about that. On January 26th, the planet Neptune will transit into the sign of Aries. Right now, we have had Neptune in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune has been in Pisces since the year of 2011. So think back to 2011, all the things that you've experienced and had and wished and hoped for, and then all the things you've learned as well. And think about, look at Pisces in your chart to understand what has happened in transition from 2011 to now. And then for if we're going to talk about now from the future, you also look at your chart and look at what is in Aries in your chart, because Neptune is going to be in Aries from the 26th of this year until the year of 2039. So it's a lot of big shifts, big transits happening. It's a long time. Maddie called it the generational change or something like that. So like I said, Aquarius is the air, so they can get a little, like, air can get a little uncertain, unsure, flaky, wishy-washy kind of thing. But it's a fixed sign. So once it settles in on something and locks in on something, that's what it is. And it's determined. And it has drive. It has passion. And Aquarius represents the revolutionary. It's about innovation. And another big, like, Aquarian theme that I want to talk about is there's 3 of them. So, like, Aquarius is a very much self-starters. And they also can have, like, savior kind of thing, complex going on. Say seek community if you do feel alone or don't feel like you have support or somebody to speak with about the things you're interested in. Like I was saying earlier, don't be ashamed of what you don't know. If you don't know it, you don't know it. But you have to be willing enough to want to know it, to commit to asking for help, and be mature enough to allow yourself to admit that you need assistance, because community is key. And not like isolation. And I feel like Aquarius can be very idealistic, like very similar to that Virgo moon in me. Stop nitpicking at every single little thing and just back up for a little bit. Like, what we talking about last week, that map. Look at the whole map sometimes. You just so worried about this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, this part. We gotta go on the whole trip. Look at the whole map sometimes. Take a step back. I think that's all I got. So thank y'all for coming. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that y'all used last week's new moon to set some intentions and plant some good seeds, because we're in a new era and I'm so excited for us. I also lastly want to leave you with some quotes that I saw that really just spoke to this week's theme in the episode. So the first one is, real growth is about becoming more of who you are. And that is a quote by someone named Lori Gottlieb. And then this other quote that I wanted to say is by David Bowie. Aging is an extraordinary process whereby you become the person you always should have been. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much. You know how we end the show. Bitches be mad because they be hating, and bitches be hating because they be mad. Bye, y'all.